Hello and welcome to all of our Gold Learning viewers. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications here at Gold Learning. Well, welcome everyone for joining us here today. I have very special guests. I feel like, Naomi, you are a special guest because I know how passionate you are in all of this area and such an expertise. So welcome back to Gold, Naomi Bar-Yam. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and so we've been chit-chatting offline here a little bit just about this topic that you can see on your screen, the whys and hows of using banked donor milk. I feel like everything is exploding. I feel like, in this area, which is really exciting, but that means there is lots to learn. So I know you're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. But why don't you go ahead, Naomi, and introduce yourself to the audience that's listening in today. Perhaps tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
So I have two milk banking hats right now. I am the director of the Mother's Milk Bank Northeast in Boston in the US, and I am also currently the president of the Human Milk Banking Association of North America. So those are two fairly large hats that take up a good amount of my time. I work in at the milk bank here in Boston, and I do a lot of making sure the milk bank runs smoothly day to day, but also a lot of education in the community, in among healthcare providers. And my role with the Human Milk Banking Association North America has really broadened out what I do and allowed me to work with and be in communication with people from all over the country and sometimes all over the world around milk banking questions and issues. And obviously, the questions when you're running your own milk bank are slightly different than the questions when you're talking about it on a national or a global basis. So that fills my days.
I can only imagine because this is something I feel that is finally growing and we're seeing momentum. There's a lot more conversation, but with that comes all that education that you're talking about. And then, of course, you being one of those top experts in this area, I'm sure, that you get lots of questions about it as well. So I can only imagine how busy you are. But let's go back. I'm going to rewind a little bit because I want to know a little bit more about you, Naomi. I want to know how you first became interested in this topic, what has drawn you and essentially has kept you there. I feel like you've been working in this area for some time now. So tell me a little bit about those elements.
So my interest in milk banking started, as with a lot of people, in things that they're passionate about from a personal experience. Of my four children, two of them were born into NICUs on two different continents, 6 years apart. And in each case, I was one of those lucky moms who had more milk than I needed, and in each case, the milk ended up going to someone else. And through that experience, I learned about that there was such a thing as a milk bank. I had never heard of that. And started looking into it and realized that we really, we didn't have a milk bank in our area, and we do have a lot of hospitals and care for a lot of babies, not just in our area, but really from all over the country and all over the world. So that was really what got me interested. It was finding out that such a thing existed, that we didn't have one in our area, and I got some friends together at some point. I sent an email around to some colleagues. I had been working in maternal child health for many years. I sent around an email to some colleagues and said, does anybody else want to work on this? And the rest is history. We just started moving on it. And I think what keeps me in it is my kids are grown now. Those two kids that were born into NICUs, one of them is turning 28 tomorrow and the other's turning 22 in July. So
Wow.
they're thankfully healthy and strong and fine. But the work that we do is very compelling. I mean, I just the families that we are able to help, the communities that we are able to educate and help, and being in this area of healthcare with the nurses, lactation consultants, dietitians, doctors who are so passionate and so dedicated to what they do. It is definitely keeps us going.
Well, that is amazing. And of course, I was smiling throughout there. I was listening to your story. So for me, it just sounds like it came from a place of love that drove you there. And I can only imagine the email that you sent around at some point amongst your friends to get them all together and reflecting on that, like where you've come from, is just amazing. And so thank goodness for you and others who continue to really move this forward because this is something that is still growing and people are still trying to understand. And some people are on the other end of the spectrum where it's just normal, which is fabulous too.
Right,
I love to hear those stories where it's like a no-brainer. Of course we have this. Of course we provide,
right.
and where it's become normal practice to have donor milk used, particularly in the NICU. Whereas once upon a time there just wasn't available. And I do remember I was also a NICU mum, and I do remember from my own son that that wasn't available. But fortunately, I was like you, Naomi. I did have the milk and I was able and supported by, very good colleagues around me as well. So,
Hmm.
I'm sure you hear these stories all the time. It's just amazing. But
That's
changing
part of what keeps
lives,
you going.
yeah, changing lives, right? And so it's just fabulous. All right, so let's focus on this topic now because I know, like we had mentioned before, you've spoken here at Gold before, but this is part of the Gold Neonatal package that we have, breastfeeding in the NICU. I know that you're going to be taking us through some of the different steps here, so the whys and hows of using banked donor milk. So tell me what you're really hoping that the audience will take away from your presentation.
I think I'm hoping for a couple of things, a better idea of what milk banking is about, and I think also the fact that this is becoming really a global concern and a global issue, and that brings with it its own challenges, and I mean challenges in the most positive way. It's, to adapt what milk banking is about to different cultures and to different circumstances is an exciting challenge.
That's very exciting. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear more. Just left me on the cliff there hanging. And of course, I'll be able to listen really soon. And so will our listening audience, in fact. So it's coming up really soon here. June 4th is our opening keynote for our Gold Neonatal Conference. You will be able to join us live that day and be able to listen to the recording. That's a free and open access presentation. And of course, you'll be able to come and listen to Naomi. She's going to be speaking as part of one of our very, very special add-on packages as well, breastfeeding in the NICU, with some other great colleagues. You'll be able to join all of them. So go to the website at goldneonatal.com for all the information of time zones and all the things that you'll be able to learn as well. Well, thank you to you, Naomi Bar-Yam, for joining me here today and sharing a little bit of your story once again.
Thank you.
And thank you again to our listening audience. We look forward to having you back again soon. Bye bye for now.